Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Lee School Committee's public budget hearing. It is Tuesday, April 2nd at 6:30. We are in the Lee Middle and High School Library. We are continuing to be in a virtual meeting room for Governor Baker's order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. This meeting will take place in a hybrid fashion, both virtually via Zoom or in person for those committee members and attendees choosing to access in either manner. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I'm hereby informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of the meeting. Please join me while Drew Guinan and Lauren Schur lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening if you're not staying for the art session or the budget week. The mission statement of Lee Public Schools is to ensure students have the opportunities to develop the social, civil, and critical thinking skills to thrive in an ever-changing world. Brenda, could you do a roll call for us, please?
Mr. Robin?
Present.
Ms. Cooper?
Here.
Ms. Kashirk?
Here.
Mr. Langwa?
Here.
Ms. Larman?
Here.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
And Ms. Strickler?
Here.
All right, and next up, we have our FY2025 public budget hearing presentation from Mr. Richard.
Thank you, Ms. Larman, and welcome to our FY25 public budget presentation. Let's just make sure there we go. Quickly, although Ms. Larman just read it, the mission of the Lee Public Schools is to ensure students have the opportunities to develop the social, civil, and critical thinking skills to thrive in an ever-changing world. We've got a district improvement plan that drives the focus of our funding and the work that we do each and every day in the Lee Public Schools, and that improvement plan has 4 major areas of focus, including curriculum, wellness, technology, and district organization. And I don't need to bore the attendees or the members of the school committee with what the details of each of those areas of focus are. They are in this slideshow that will be made available on the Lee Public Schools website following tonight's meeting. Quick district overview. As of yesterday, we have 320 students at LES, 299 of them at LMHS, of which we have 35 English learners. We got 134 students with individualized education programs. New referrals that are in some part of the evaluation process, and that's referrals to special education, include 22 students. We have active reevaluations in process for students on IEPs. Those are 20 in number. And we do have students who will be graduating or aging out by June 10th, which is our scheduled last day of school as of today. And there are 9 of those students. As far as staffing goes, we have 79.5 at the elementary school, 71.5 at the middle and high school, and 4 district employees, for which 8% of our salaries are supplemented by the Tieringham budget. Some highlights from this past fiscal year was the implementation of high quality instructional materials in both English, language arts, and mathematics, successful extracurricular programming at both schools, partnerships with BCC to ensure that our students have access to early education or early college programs, and then the work that we've done with the Massachusetts Consortium for Innovative Education Assessment, and that's some of the survey data that we shared with the committee a couple of months back. Some changes that are important for this committee to understand and appreciate for us moving forward in FY25 is that ESSER funding that's been available to us for the last 4 years will no longer be available as of September 30th of this calendar year. We have an increase in the number of students attending CTE programs, and I guess I should say that have been accepted to attend CTE programs at Taconic. There are 6 students who are rising ninth graders and above who have applications to and acceptance of admission to Taconic. What that means is, in that secondary bullet there, is that in the last 2 weeks, we've gotten notification of 2 additional students who have been accepted to Taconic for next year. I mentioned this because the last time prior to tonight that the finance subcommittee met, they had approved a budget to move forward to the full committee. It represented a 5% increase for FY25 over FY24. These two additional students represent an approximate cost of $40,000, including transportation and tuition, to send them to Taconic. So the suggestion by me to the finance subcommittee at our meeting that began at 6:15 tonight was to add an additional $40,000 out of school choice to account for those students' planned attendance at Taconic. We also have additional students being outplaced for special education services and an increase in operational services divisions costs. Those are the state determined costs for private school tuition for our students who are outplaced. And then the very real cost that I know all of you understand and appreciate, and that's the rising cost of utilities. The public sector is no exception to that. State mandates about funding, the Student Opportunity Act, the plan that you all approved at our March meeting. I did submit the following day. So it was submitted on March 19th for a 3-year plan on how to use that additional $34,000 or so per year. I have not received any word back from the state on whether that plan has been approved, while I do expect that it will be. But as a note, again, those are Chapter 70 funds, so those funds actually go to the town. We just need to report to the state on how we are using those monies. Some important historical steps about us working towards budget mitigation in the past and looking to the future. We've had a reduction in staff since 2013-14. We've eliminated a curriculum director, a technology director, a technology specialist, a science teacher at LMHS, and a librarian. We've taken steps to convert all the lighting to LED. We've acquired additional school transportation using school choice monies so that we don't need to outsource the transportation, at least as often. We're exploring the implementation of a solar array design to be installed when, I say when, not if, because it's got to be a when the roofs get replaced at both schools. In order for us to qualify for MSBA reimbursement, those roofs need to be 25 years old. We will be approaching that 25-year mark in the next few years. And of course, we applied for and received $100,000 towards improved ventilation and air quality, the IVAQ grant, to allow us to update our control systems at the schools. We are almost done with that project, and we thank the town for supporting us in that venture as well. So what you see in front of you is our proposed budget. It is listed under version 5. And while that is the last version that was approved by the finance subcommittee, I did take the liberty, instead of going ahead and creating a version 6, to simply make that adjustment. You'll see where it says less school choice. Maybe I could come up here so everybody sees that. So where this line here, I have adjusted this and added $40,000 in the DAC in the area of vocational education in the detailed line budget. I did add that $40,000 in before it gets offset by the budget. So that vocational education line is now $120,000. For your purposes to understand, 2 years ago, that was a $50,000 line. So that's a significant increase for the school committee and for the town of Lee to absorb, but it is an obligation that we have to support students who wish to access career and technical education, if Taconic is the destination school for that to happen. I think, in my estimation, the other area that is important for the school committee to know is that there is a line that didn't previously exist that says less sped revolving. So we've got about $231,000 in our school, in our special education revolving account. We're looking to leverage $100,000 of that next year in order for us to get to a reasonable place in this budget, specifically to get us to 5%, a 5% increase and no more than that. We do have a considerable amount of money coming from circuit breaker and grants. I think all of those things are important, totaling just shy of $1.6 million in offsets. So my recommendation to the Lee School Committee tonight is to support this budget. I think it is a reasonable budget. It does require us to make some cuts in some areas. It does not require us to cut many staff, but we do have to cut staff. Staff that will be lost include a receptionist position at LMHS. And the loss of 2 interventionists at LMHS, those had been grant funded positions. The last 2, had been grant funded positions. So we didn't have an expectation that they were going to survive beyond ESSER funding. So there are some staff that will be lost, and that has implications. There are some supply lines that were cut in order to get us to this line, but is the least number of cuts to get us to a place that I think can be reasonably moved forward with the support, I hope, of this committee and the hope of the taxpayers in town.
Thank you. All right, would anybody like to make a motion for the budget? FY25 budget.
I'll motion to approve the budget of $12,778,774.00 to be offset by a total of up to $1,558,907.00, made up by up to $840,000 in school choice, up to $134,907 in circuit breaker, up to $100,000 in special education revolving, and up to $524,000 in grants, resulting in a request to the town of Lee for $11,179,000, $867.00.
Second,
Second,
any discussion?
I have a question about the Taconic thing. Is that a rate that is set by Taconic or by the state?
Taconic, $19,638. I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but yes.
So that's not like at all like state
The
regulated?
state doesn't set the CTE number by.
Okay, so they can raise it or do whatever they want, technically.
Any other discussion?
I just want to say thank you, because I know there's been months and months and months of hard work that have gone into this from both school committee, staff, administration, Mike leading the charge. Thank you. And thank you for outlining how you got to where you are now. And I'm just wondering if we could hear from the school committee side of finance and just explain the process you all went through to get to the point of agreement with where this was all proposed and that you're recommending.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, first and foremost, thank you to the administrative team for putting this. It's a ton of work. Also, major thank you to the staff of the district. The teachers, the paras, the specialists, everybody. Obviously we're on version 5 of this budget, and it took us a while to get there. And there were some hurdles that we had to overcome. But there was a lot of information that was requested also to kind of give us some insight. And we asked a lot of information of the teachers at the school and some of the the specialized teachers, and it might have not been popular ask. It might have probably caused a little bit of heartache in the buildings. But at the end of the day, the information that was provided was, it allowed me the confidence to go forward and really support version 5. Admin team was wonderful at kind of taking in our critiques and our concerns and our comments and our support and really focusing a budget that, as the superintendent said, really reduces the amount of cuts that we need in order to, get a 5% increase to our budget. I really would have rather seen a more level service budget, but that, it's pretty tough to ask sometimes. So again, it was a ton of work. The lion's share of which was done by the administrative team and the individual teachers and faculty and staff of our buildings. Again, thank you so much for that.
but ton of work, but I'm very confident, very happy with this, but I support this budget. I wish we could ask for more, because I think that this is a school worth investing in.
Agreed.
So thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody at this table, the staff, in your buildings and in our buildings, and that have direct impact with our kids, that provide the information. I can't thank them enough. Wonderful, really helpful.
Any other discussion? Go ahead.
And Mr. Nichols, in your motion,
Did I mess this up?
yes, no, I'm sorry, you just made an error. That's okay.
I'll ask.
You may want to reword your motion to reflect the offset being $1,598,907. I believe that you said 1 million.
58, which didn't account for the $40,000 that was in there.
Correct.
1,598,907. So I'll amend my motion. I have to go through the whole thing again.
Yep.
Man, I have a hard time reading as it is. Motion to approve a budget of $12,778,774 to be offset by a total up to $1,598,907, made up by up to $840,000 in school choice, up to $134,907 in circuit breaker, up to $100,000 in special education revolving, and up to $524,000 in grants, resulting in a request to the town of Lee for $11,179,867.00.
I second.
Any discussion? All right, Brenda, we're ready for a roll call.
Ms. Robin,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Kosher,
Yes.
Mr. Langwa,
Yes.
Ms. Larmen,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Ms. Strickler.
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have public comment.
Residents of Lee are invited to address the committee regarding items on this evening's agenda. At this time, comments are limited to 3 minutes. Issues raised will normally be referred to the administration or a subcommittee of the school committee. Yes,
Where do you want me to be? So that
Wherever
I
you
can be
want.
seen?
wherever you want to be.
I want to make sure everyone can see me and people can see me on the Zoom too. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Morgan Zukowski. I live at 440 Fairview Street in Lee. I'm a graduate of the Lee Public School System and I'm a first grade teacher at Allendale in Pittsfield. I'm in my last year of a 4-year program where I will be receiving a doctorate in education and educational leadership. And as a part of my administrative hours that I must obtain for my degree, I had the opportunity to shadow Mr. Briganti at Lee High School on Friday. During my visit, it was really phenomenal to see some of the tools that were able to be purchased and the supports that were able to be put into place with the funds provided by ESSER throughout the past 3 years. However, with the sunset of the ESSER funding, I'm incredibly concerned about some of the positions that are set to be eliminated, which is why I'm here in front of all of you guys tonight. I had the pleasure of seeing the classroom that's shared with the ELA and math interventionist, which are currently both funded by ESSER, as you very well know. And they're both highly skilled educators that I had in my time here. And having discussions with both of them regarding the success of this program. This classroom is a location where students are able to receive extra help in either ELA or math, either by recommendation, scheduling of their teachers, or by their own choice. The teachers in this classroom are able to work with students in a small group setting or one-on-one in specific skills such as studying for tests, revising essays, and even additional instruction as needed. These teachers have also been available to provide push-in support into classrooms, which is there is great need for. If you are not familiar with this classroom and its specifics, I'm sure that Mr. Briganti can provide more detailed information and statistics in terms of the substantial number of students who are utilizing this resource. I feel personally drawn to advocating for this classroom in the high school ELA and math interventionist positions to move into local funding for several reasons. First, my school too is at risk of losing an interventionist with the end of ESSER 3, and the thought that the number of students who are identified as needing additional support will not match the support that will be able to be provided is incredibly worrisome. Additionally, as my high school teachers will tell you, I was infamously known for struggling in math. And I had to work extremely hard in all of my math and science classes to be able to get grades that would be acceptable to colleges who were reviewing my transcripts. Due to this, I had to take advantage of every opportunity for extra help before, during, and after school, and lunch and at office hours after school. However, I know that not all students have this opportunity, as for many different reasons, whether it be transportation difficulties, childcare, extracurriculars, or after-school jobs, or any other reasons. The upside to this program is that it's happening during the school day, and the students don't have to worry about the additional help and other reasons such as these that they wouldn't be able to attend. Additionally, in review of last year's 10th grade MCAS and scores of both ELA and math, I noticed that both were just at meeting expectations by just literally several points each. And the removal of this program could be enough to bump MCAS achievement into a category lower, into just partially meeting expectations. And obviously that's not what Lee is known for. Continuation of this program would be a preventative measure to ensure that students are being given the support they need to be successful on these standardized assessments. And in conclusion, due to the many reasons I have noted, I believe that the removal of the intervention program with the sunset of ESSER funds would be incredibly detrimental to Lee High School students, and I hope that you highly consider continuing this program through local funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan.
All right, we are going to take a brief recess before we start our main monthly school committee meeting, and we will reconvene at 7 o'clock. And we need to adjourn out though at 6:51.
Motion to recess? until
Yes.
7?
Okay.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Bren.
Mr. Robin,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Kosher,
Yes.
Mr. Langwa,
Yes.
Ms. Larman,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols.
Yes.
And Ms. Strickler.
Yes.
All right, we are in recess at 6:52 to return at 7 o'clock. Yep, come on up, guys.
Okay,
All right, we're ready for you.
all right, thank you. So, I'm very grateful that, Mr. Martinuk asked me to, be able to show and share my, my art program at Lee Elementary School. I was told to, keep it timely, so I'm gonna go quickly and just, share all the great stuff that's happening, at Lee Elementary School here. And if I can get my. Oh, there we go, perfect. Yeah, so my name's Brandon Boulay. It's my 13th year here at Lee Elementary School. I've taught at a few schools before coming here, and so I know how good I have it. And I love this place here. So I graduated from Rhode Island College with a bachelor's in art education, Boston University for my master's of art education. This is my art room. It's a welcoming, exciting, colorful place. Students they come and see me once a week. Everyone gets art class once a week, and they get to enjoy a really engaging space. Looking from their view at the front, you can get a sense of the expectations, like the rules that are listed up above, the art projects that change, as we go through. So anyone visiting the room can tell what's going on, just a brief synopsis of the projects themselves, you look to the left and students can share art that they made outside of my class. And so they get to showcase that. I also take this little section of board to draw different pictures, just to share, some of my love of drawing there. The art in the art room, trying to cover a broad range of historical art, contemporary art. Each little artwork has a display underneath it that talks about what it is. I've had students do student art critiques and compare contrasts. Years ago, I did have a student say, well, Mr. Blay, are any of these artists still alive? And I had to say no. So I've been making a point every year to add more contemporary artists into the work there. Like you can see something from Da Vinci right next to something from David Chow. So there's the art room and all the fabulous art that's in it. The student class routine, we start off greeting each other. And that's every class, just like a positive, like respectful way to get class started. That may not play, so we'll just skip by that. Also, I do a 1 minute of deep breathing, just taking a moment to like collect your thoughts, relax. I have a student play a singing bowl. I just introduced like a slide whistle at the beginning and the end. Just give you a sense of like clean the air, put any stress behind you, and just focus at the good art at hand. The art curriculum itself, there's a shot of my filing cabinet with all my like lesson plans, filed away in there. Everything aligns with the, DESE, Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. I'm establishing skills. I'm building upon those skills through scaffolding, working in a variety of artistic mediums, making connections to multicultural art forms, connecting to current artists and past artists. And so I'll try to go quickly and just give you like a snapshot of some of the different projects we're working on. Right now, third grade's doing paper mache sculpture masks inspired by the island of Bali on Indonesia. So those are all current shots. They're still working on it, but this is a shot from like prior years where they get to wear the mask. They write a brief like background story behind their character. Third grade, these are all from this year. So Aborigine dot painting, paying respects to the indigenous folks of Australia, and this beautiful art form that started back in the 70s. Scotch tape shoe sculptures. It always reminds me that I've been teaching a bit because 2010, I was teaching in Springfield. I was inspired by their large shoe sculptures as part of a public art project. Students now, they're wrapping their shoes in plastic wrap and tape, making a complete sculpture of their shoe and then decorating it on half of the design there. Relief printmaking. They're making printing plates with styrofoam. They're using printmaking techniques, rolling ink and pulling prints for it. This is a current project, used to be an MC Escher project. Now it's a Ben Hine inspired project, but just like contemporary artists. This guy's going out there with drawings and his camera and setting it up where his drawing goes into the picture. And take a look at these student artworks. These are just awesome. They're doing realistic drawings of their hands. They're adding in a piece of paper on top of like old calendars that people donate to me. And you can see where they're, drawing realism and then being creative and inventing like new things that are happening in the picture there. At the end of larger projects, we do art critiques. So the students come to the back of the room, we hang up the art. You don't choose your own, you choose somebody else's. And we just discuss positive and maybe constructively negative things about the artwork. So you get a chance to like be a community that shares their art together. So there's a lot of art being created at Lee Elementary School. I'm very proud of it. I'm happy to be part of it. Let's do like a little speed round and just kind of whiz right through. So variety of projects here. We got some kindergarten shots, first grade shots, second grade, third grade hidden art designs, fourth grade doing some like cardboard sculpture. That second grade doing some Chinese lanterns for the Chinese New Year. Kindergarten celebrating the onset of 2024. Fifth grade doing some Ojo de Dios. The fifth grade shot of some line mazes where they test each other's line mazes out and they have to solve them. I laminate them so then you can use dry erase marker and just wipe them right off. Oh, wow, so yeah, so I didn't work out probably, but beyond the curriculum, I hold 3 art clubs. So in the fall, I hold comic book art club. I have a huge collection of comic books, love like superheroes and comic books. And so students join, they read my comic books, they draw pictures. I was able to purchase light boards last year, so they're able to trace pictures. I just finished up alternate materials art club. Oh yeah, that last one's 3rd and 4th. This one is 5th and 6th. We start out with like hot glue gun art on canvas board, painted in with like metallic paints to give it like an antique look. And this one I'm very excited about, a brand new one, is doing toy design. And so they're using model magic, making their own like little action figure, then setting up the design for the packaging, whether they hand drew it or they used computers to do the printouts, had the little plastic containers donated from Big Y. But yeah, that's the most recent club. Now coming up in the spring will be the younger generations. So those are pictures from last year. Just gives me a chance to do art projects outside of the normal, class curriculum there. I do hold a spring art show every year, a chance to like every grade level, every class has an art in, has a display in there. I was showing off the light board, so students had like a piece of art they can make and take home with them while looking at all the artwork. Making community connections. We live in a great, little community out here. So Berkshire Bank has been great. We just had 4th grade snowflake paintings displayed there. At the Lee Library, I had 3rd grade faux stained glass windows displayed. And then I just got this up last weekend for April's Poetry Month. So we have a Giacometti inspired people sculptures, and then they wrote small I am poems to go with them for Poetry Month. Also, Vivaldi's has been great. This is going to be my 3rd year now pairing up with Vivaldi's. They donate pizza boxes. My 5th graders paint silhouettes on them, and the Vivaldi's chooses their favorites and displays them in the restaurant. And so I plan on going down this weekend with a whole bunch of boxes and having them pick out, their faves to go in the restaurant there. Community connections like field trips. I used to do a lot more before COVID. Norma Rockwell used to do free field trips. They're not doing them anymore. The Mount at Edith Wharton, can't get that going anymore. I wanted to hold free field trips, but the Clark has stuck through strong. So yeah, we did the Clark last year. We're doing the Clark again this May. So yeah, making use of those resources. Also, people coming in. So this is the Crane Paper Museum out in Dalton. I had them visit my 6th grade classes, doing like a paper making activity and teaching about on the paper that they do the counterfeiting like stuff on, because they produce all the paper for U.S. currency, for the entire country there. And just to show off, Andrea Wadsworth actually visited back in 2022 and did a cake cake decorating demonstration. You can see her there, like using the camera that's on my desk. I brought in my own flat screen TV that's up there. And so students were like learning how to pipe frosting. It's an art. Families can stay connected with me online. Of course, we have the school website. So I have my website posted there. You can go by grade level, see the art clubs displays, see what curriculum is in place. I also do a Facebook art class page. In 2024, I did move it into a private group. So you have to ask to join, got to answer a few questions. And then once you're in, I post things pretty regularly on there. And of course, yeah, Mr. Murdoch's great, newsletter that comes out, every few weeks. I have my own art corner section. And so I share art that way as well. So you've heard enough from me. It's really nice that some students showed up tonight. I was hoping maybe just everyone could just take a moment and just share something you like about an art project or my art class. And yeah, we'll give you a round of applause and stuff. Well, thank you.
My favorite thing about
Right to the top of the front.
my favorite thing about Mr. Blaze, our class, is that he doesn't always do the same thing. Like this class, we're gonna do writing like a face or something. Then the next class, we're gonna write again. We're like he does like writing and then painting or cardboard boxes building or like
Yeah, we switch it up. I'm gonna say, did you just write the I am poem? Oh, no. Okay, so that's 3rd grade.
no.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Come on up.
Mr. Boulay lets us express ourselves with our art.
Come on up.
I like art because Mr. Belay has taught us that you really can't make any mistakes in art.
Nice, thank you.
I like art because Mr. Belay lets us be creative about what we want to make with it.
Thank you.
Mr. Belay is very supportive of his students and what their artwork is gonna be.
Thank you.
I like art because Mr. Belay taught us that all art can be unique.
Thank you.
I love how active his classes are. I like how there's like history behind every art project and you bring it back.
Right, thank you. Yes, I can come on. Oh yeah, bring me a piece of you. That's awesome. Here, I'll wait for it. Because I didn't even show that one on the slides there either. Yeah, an artwork based off of art that I've done with like painter's tape and paint on top of it.
I like your class because you always make everything wide and open.
Sweet, thank you.
I like Mr. Belay's class because he brings cheer into the room and makes everything happy once you go in.
Thank you.
I like Mr. Belay's class because he lets us do what we want before jumping and helping.
I like Mr. Belay's art class because you can be creative and he gives you options.
Thank you.
I like Mr. Belay's class because I like Mr. Belay's class because of all the art projects he lets us do, and especially because he lets us make different math and from a certain holiday. Something I like about Mr. Belay's art class is that he has a bunch of different like little toys on his desk. Something I like about Mr. Belay's class is that we can be creative and we can express our feelings in our art. Mr. Belay's class because basically once you get older, you do harder things.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I like Mr. Belay's art class because he teaches it in a fun and creative way, and he says anything can be of it.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you all very much. Do you want to say a little something?
Oh,
Here, come on,
I
Walter.
didn't see him.
One online there for
I like Mr. Belay's art class because he teaches us that if you make a mistake, you can just turn it into something different. Something that I like about Mr. Belay's art class is that you don't know what you're gonna do. Like he has surprises and stuff.
Thanks, Walter.
Oh yeah, and I do have a student. I got a student up there on the screen too. Declan, can I, or you, if you want to unmute yourself, or you don't have to say anything at all, that's all good.
Go ahead.
I like art because art makes me be creative and express myself.
Nice. Yeah, thank you all very much.
Brandon, great job.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. That was amazing. All right. Go ahead, student rep. Thank you.
All right.
All right, so next is our superintendent's update.
Wait, it's close.
All right, we got a lot of things going on. Tonight, as I learned this new technology that we have, so I didn't get a chance to talk about it before, but we did use portion of our rural school aid funding to purchase the smart board and the speaker system and camera system. It does replace the owl that we previously had been using. And from all testimony that we've gotten so far, well, albeit limited, this is an improvement for those people who are watching at home. Thumbs up if you're at home and it's better. Josh Hall, there you go, all right. So we think it's a nice investment, and obviously it's got application beyond school committee meetings for any remote meetings that need to take place. And it does serve as a smart board, as an instructional space for our faculty to be able to take advantage of. Today is World Autism Awareness Day, and I just want to take a quick second to make sure that the school committee and the school community is aware of it. We service so many students who are on various stages of the autism spectrum, and we do our very best to make sure that those students are given every opportunity to be successful. And sometimes that means those students go out of district, but we do our best to service them in district. And a huge thanks to Mrs. Norton and her team of special educators for the work that they do to make sure that those students do meet with success at all stages of their time here in the Lee Public Schools. Okay, it pains me to put this up there. But as of today, with that little asterisk, the last day of school still does remain Monday, June 10th. I took a screenshot at about 2 o'clock of the Weather Channel report for Thursday. I think we're going to be okay. I expect that we're going to be okay, but I would not be truthful and honest if I didn't say that it does give me a little bit of anxiety that we're in April and we're talking about possibly the biggest weather event of the winter now that we are actually in spring. Enrollment as of April 1, you'll see that we are at 620 students across all grade spans. So we're holding pretty steady, and we hope to have that number increase next school year for sure. Chronic absenteeism, I've been making you aware of our initiatives to try to improve attendance over the balance of the school year. We've got 9 weeks remaining. Thank you to all those individuals across both schools who have been working with us to determine a system about how we can reward students for improved and perfect attendance. And a huge thanks to some of our local organizations who have made contributions, including Big Y, Burmese Bowl, Locker Room, Greenwich Country Club, Greylock Federal Credit Union. And we do have some anonymous donors who are individuals wish to remain nameless, but have provided us with some monies to be able to buy prizes for students. The system is set up so that students who have chronic absenteeism issues will be rewarded on a more regular basis, or have the opportunity to be rewarded on a more regular basis. And students who have perfect attendance over 2 week spans of time also are eligible for prizes. So the hope is that as we push our way through this last 9 weeks, that our students continue to show up. Anecdotally, in conversation with Principal Brigetti over the last few days, attendance has been extremely good, almost pre-pandemic like. I'll take that side nod as maybe a yes, that we've seen some improvement. I can't say to any degree of certainty whether it's tied to this or not. We're just thankful that students are making their way to school each and every day, and we know the value of the service that we provide them every day. There's a solar eclipse that's going to happen next Monday. The forecast is for mostly sunny skies. I will not be making any adjustments to our school calendar to accommodate an early dismissal. Instead, I have been messaging families for the last 6 weeks or so about this and making sure that we are responsible individuals and that students make wise choices and families do too. Please do not look up during the solar eclipse unless you are outfitted with proper viewing lenses or glasses. I wanted to keep my report brief tonight. You guys have been here for a while, and the budget was the big issue tonight. I do know that the principals and directors have some additional information. I'll just really quickly share that while there won't be a facilities director update tonight, there is an update about the facilities director. I shared that with you by email. Jeff Crozier will begin with us next Monday, April 8th. We're excited to have him. He comes to us after a very long time serving at Miss Hall's school. He gelled very nicely with the team here, and we have high hopes for Mr. Crozier, and I look forward to you meeting him in May.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mike? All right, moving on to our principals and directors reports. And first up, we have Tim Martnick with Lee Elementary School.
Hello, everybody. Q4 started yesterday, which is kind of hard to believe, but here we are. Report cards will be sent to families early next week. Our first MCAS assessment will take place in less than a week, with grades 3 and 4 taking the ELA test on Monday and Tuesday. Grades 5 and 6 taking theirs on Thursday and Friday of next week. The kindergarten team worked closely last month with Mariah Carrington from Holyoke College, and they had a full day of PD that focused on different ways to implement our new HQIM math series in a kindergarten classroom. The robotics team did a great job participating in the Berkshire Robotics competition last month. They scored 14 out of 20 teams in the general competition and placed first out of 9 teams for the research project. So we're super proud of their performance there. The Flying Cloud organization is in residency again for the 3rd year in a row in 4th grade. They do a great job creating engaging activities with students that blend a mixture of art as well as science. And that's taking place this week. And just a reminder to everybody that kindergarten registration takes place later this month on April 24th. And I've got information in the LES newsletter as well as on our webpage for any families that need more information about kindergarten registration. You can also contact the school directly.
Any questions for Tim? All right, moving on to Lee Middle and High School with Greg Briggins.
Good evening, everyone. Since our last meeting, we've had a very successful dodgeball tournament, a productive half day for staff to focus on curriculum and Alice training, a great presentation by a guest speaker, John Morello, tremendous turnout for the middle school spaghetti supper, and an informative presentation for high schoolers from the Social Justice Club on women in leadership to bring us to the end of Women's History Month last week. We also completed grade 10 MCAS ELA testing and had our first games of the spring sports season. This morning, we hosted a performance from the Berkshire Theater Festival's Playwright Mentoring Project, which several of our students have participated in since the fall. The group wrote, directed, and produced the play that was performed, and they bring it around to all of the high schools in the county. It's a half-hour play, and then they do about a 10-minute talk back about the topics that were in the play. It was pretty cool. We have a bunch of field trips coming up, including an art trip to New York City this Friday, the science trip to watch the eclipse on Monday with appropriate eyewear, the 413 Youth Conference, a trip for interested students to visit UMass Amherst, and the Special Olympics coming up on May 1st. Next week brings us MCAS ELA testing grades 7 and 8, with math testing following in May and science after that. Also next week is our annual career fair on Thursday. And just a reminder for those of you who have never been part of that, we basically filled the gym. I think so far we have 54 different employers, schools, and the military coming. All grade levels in the school take a turn going through the career fair, asking questions. They actually get prizes, or they get entered into a raffle with how many questions they ask different vendors. They punch cards for them and everything. The junior class takes it to another level. They have already prepared a full resume and have been preparing for mock interviews with the businesses that come on Thursday. We try to match the business up with the career interests of the juniors. And they spend some time going through a mock job interview for them. It's actually a pretty cool day. Lastly, you may have noticed on the way in tonight, if it was a little dark, you probably didn't. But the land acknowledgement plaque has come in and been mounted at the main entrance, outside the main entrance of the school building. And I would just like to thank the student government for coming up with that project and doing the necessary fundraising and everything to make that into a reality. It's pretty cool. Thank you.
Any questions for Greg? All right, moving on to special education with Jen Norton.
There are not a lot of updates currently, but there's some reminders out there. The week after April vacation, the week of April 22nd to the 26th,
our preschool screening. So if you have a child that's going to be 3 or 4 by October 1st of this year, you can call my office, the special education office at Lee Elementary School, and we can get you an appointment on one of those 3 days or make a later appointment if you can't make it on those 3 days. We do still have some positions open. We've gotten a lot of new subs in the district, which has been phenomenal. Mostly at the elementary school, but a few down here at the middle and high school. But we do still have some open positions, as well as we have some anticipated retirements that may be happening this year. So we are looking to hopefully be able to come back to school this year, fully staffed, which would be wonderful. And that's really all I have right now.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Jen? All right, we don't have facilities, so we'll skip that. So moving on to committee reports with the finance committee.
Yep, so we met, good evening, we met at 6:15 prior to the beginning of the budget conversation. And we had some warrants we discussed, so I would turn that over to Eric Jesner.
So we've had 2 accounts payable warrants since our last meeting. The total for the 2 warrants is $298,124.78. The first warrant was $79,261.88, and the large vendors for that warrant were Berkshire Gas, 2-4, and Xerox. And the second warrant was $218,862.90, and the large vendors for that warrant were Gateway Regional School District, Hillcrest, and Mount Holyoke.
Thank you. I will accept a motion for the accounts payable.
I move to accept the accounts payable amount of $298,124.78.
We have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can you roll call us, please?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Kashirk?
Yes.
Mr. Langwa?
Yes.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
And Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
So we also had 2 payroll warrants. The total for the 2 payroll warrants is $619,653.02.
We have a motion for payroll.
I'll move to accept payroll amount, $619,653.02.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can you roll call us again, please?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Abstain.
Ms. Kashirk?
Yes.
Mr. Langwa?
Yes.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Abstain.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have, that's it, right? Yeah. Next up, we have old business. We already voted for the budget. So we'll move on to the cell phone update.
Just me?
I think so.
Somebody needs to give it to us.
Just real quickly, the change that we implemented back at the start of semester 2 at the end of January has been going very well. The initial week, as I've told you before, was a little bumpy. We're at a point right now where we're probably getting on a daily basis, you can count on one hand, the number of devices that include, and it's actually shifted more from phones to earbuds now at this point in time. In total, we've had 123 students have had at least one confiscation event. And that's about 40% of the student body. Not many have had more than 3. So it's pretty good. We've had tremendous cooperation from almost all the parents involved. There's been a couple bumps along the way, but we expected that. So all in all, it's going great. Anecdotally, the feedback continues to be very positive from classroom teachers and even somewhat reluctantly from some students who say they're better able to focus without having to look at their notifications every 3.5 seconds. So overall, I think I continue to think it was a great move for us to make. So I thank you for your support in that move back in January. A lot of my colleagues around the county said that we were crazy to do this mid-year instead of waiting for the start of a new school year, but I think it was the right thing to do. It's going great.
I'm assuming it's going just.
Yeah,
as
it's,
well.
it's not common for us.
Yeah.
But maybe a dozen times this year, really. And it was a handful of students that.
That's the total number? A dozen?
But, well, yeah, in terms of like number of students, that we've had issues with, and then there were a few students that it was more than.
Right, multiple.
Yes. But it's really the exception, the teachers are on board confiscating it.
Good. That's great news. All right, next up, we have new business, and we have the 24-25 school choice available seats.
So I shared this with the committee previously. We know that we, like all of our neighbors in Berkshire County, survive and count on school choice. We have been pretty successful in the last few years in maintaining, if not ensuring, that we have a greater number of students coming into the district than are leaving the district. It's a net of nearly 40 students in the positive, which means we are doing something right. We need to continue to work hard to encourage that number to move in the right direction. What you see in front of you are the proposed numbers of additional school choice slots for school year 24-25. Those are in the far right column and highlighted in yellow, which kind of looks green up there. Regardless, the number doesn't change while the color may. So we're looking to add or include 10 students in kindergarten. We all know that kindergarten is a guessing game for how many students might be coming in, but we expect that we should have room for 10 students. We'd like to increase the number to 5, or add 5 students in grade 1, 5 students in grade 2, 11 in grade 3, 8 in grade 4, 7 in grade 5, no additional students in grade 6, 1 student in grade 7, 5 in grade 8, 5 in grade 9, 6 in grade 10, and 10 in grade 11, none in grade 12. That last 0, I hope, is a little bit obvious, that if we get a student who's looking to choice in their senior year, usually is indicative of they have gone off the rails wherever they are. They may not be on schedule to make it in their final year. These choice seats do need to be approved by the school committee, and I do need to let the state know that the school committee has voted to participate in school choice and the number of openings that we make available for them. There is a form for me to submit to DESA annually. I think this would set us up well. There have been very few instances where we have filled any grade level seats that we have made open since I have been here. But I think if we do some social media publication, a lot of word of mouth, then we will be able to encourage seats. At this point, we do have a number of students at many grade levels who have and families who have expressed interest, including one family with 4 students looking to come to us. Again, that tells me we're doing something right, and that the Lee Public Schools are a place where people want to be. So I would ask the committee to support this. It balances, class size. I know there's been an interest in maintaining small class sizes, so we consider to be desirable, but it also provides us with the necessary funding to show the town that we are doing everything that we can to keep costs down in the district.
Okay. I will accept a motion to approve the proposed school choice seats.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So I'm just asking here, so like grade 6, right? We've got no open choice, right? But we got, you said that family of 4, if they have a student in the 6th grade, we have no open school choice seats, what happens then?
Oh, they don't.
They don't come in? They don't come in?
No, they don't have a student going into 6th grade next year.
So
If they had, that number might be a 1.
Right.
To ensure them a spot. If they did, if
let's say
They adopt somebody
the
and
family shows up tomorrow with 3 kids, one of them's grade 6.
Sure, I would come back to the committee and ask you to revisit those numbers to try to accommodate those families. One student, it might be fine, but we're right at that sort of that 51 number for grade 6 before they come into grade 7. We know that when they come to, grade 7, 8, and 9, sometimes we get students coming to us from St. Mary's. So we try to accommodate for that.
And what is the timeline for school choice applications or to talk to you?
So the application itself was updated about 3 weeks ago
Yep.
on the website, so it's available for families. They can download it, fill it out, and submit it. They send it to Brenda. We collect them. The expectation is that we will notify families who have applied at the end of this month that they have been accepted, assuming that we don't exceed any of these numbers, so that they know and they can plan accordingly. That's a recommendation that was made by the administrative team, so that families don't have to wait. We'd rather be out in front, let them know, yes, we've accepted them, and they don't need to wonder what their status is with us, because previously we had waited until June to notify them.
And then rolling after that. if
Correct.
we're still-
So I'm
Until a
just kind
certain date, right?
Yeah,
Until a
we do have
certain
cutoff
date.
date, right?
Right, we changed that.
Yeah, we had previously stopped that in August. We pushed that out to October.
So I'm looking at the numbers here. What I'm kind of seeing as a kind of a general trend here is that elementary school up through grade 6, we're looking at about the sweet spot being about 50 kids per grade level. And about 60 kids in the high school, middle school is what, like 50, 55, somewhere in that range?
Yeah, what's difficult, when you look at that 7th grade number, is that it does not account, we don't yet know the Farmington River students.
Right.
We've had 7 families attend the open house or the information night a few weeks ago. Hopefully we get all 7 of those. In that case, we want to be careful, because
Right.
if we got 7 of those and then we still had some school choice seats available, we would have gone over that 60, which is really our max that we try to.
Then you gotta buy more desks. So I guess, so just another comment that I have here is we're looking at the high school, grade 9 with, 60 kids, but the data that we pulled when we were talking about the budget, there's concern about some pretty small class sizes in the high school. A decent number of the classes are pretty low. Is there anything stopping us from, in the high school, bringing in more student choice or more school choice students to kind of help bolster those classes?
I don't know that there's anything that stops us. I just don't know that it's realistic. We could set that target at 70.
Right.
I don't, when we look for 5 students in grade 8, I feel like that might even be a slightly aggressive number.
Sure.
We don't see a lot of transition there. I don't know.
No, I agree. I think in my 10 years, if we've had more than 3 or 4 come in a grade level, that's been a lot.
Right.
Yeah, I would love to have that problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, if that becomes a problem, you just let us know. We'll help you out there. And then my other question is just, we're talking about students out of the district, obviously special ed needs, if they're above and beyond what we can offer, that's a no-brainer. We have to make these kids successful wherever they go. Have we identified any other issues that are causing families to send their kids, lead kids out of district for school? Other than CTE?
No, we see it as the same issue that oftentimes sends them here, which is location of employment for families, or tradition where, my parents went to. Well, everyone else will remain nameless, but there, and they'd like me to go there as well. But not for, I have yet to hear from anybody that I'm leaving the district because you don't offer X, Y, or Z. There is some normal challenges, I think, to athletic programs where we can't compete with some larger schools for the programs that they offer.
Yep.
But as far as academic offerings go, we remain competitive.
No, it's good to hear. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Brenda, can you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Kashirk?
Yes.
Mr. Langwa,
Yes.
Ms. Larmen,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
All right, up next, we have HMH growth measure assessment data.
Okay, so a while back, several months ago, during a presentation, I think it was at the curriculum subcommittee meeting, we have been asked to present some information about our new benchmarking test that goes along with our new HQIM materials in math and in ELA. So this is, we could probably email this out to them too, so they can see it a little closer up. But what you have here is the two columns are, the BOI is beginning of the year data. The right-hand column for each color is middle of the year data. And so the categories that HMH uses, they sort of align with kind of the MCAS categories, but not exactly. What you see up there in the reddish color is they call far below grade level. Far below level, I'm sorry. And this top charts, not the graphs below, but the top table is all based on scaled score. And we'll get to the chart in a second, but so far below grade level, the orange is below grade level, the yellow is approaching grade level, the green is on level, and the blue is above level. Overall, what we've seen this school year, this is math right here, is in general some pretty good movement from red to blue, you know, as we go along the way. Not everybody's jumping from red to blue, but we're seeing some movement down. For example, just to look at one grade level, if we looked at grade 11 at the very bottom there of the red, we see the beginning of the year was 18.9% of grade 11 was far below grade level. At mid-year, that had dropped to 11.7. So we're moving in the direction we want to go. Even more impressive, if you continue on grade 11, the below level, the orange, went from 43.2% to 26.5%. So we're having students move rightwards in this chart from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. And again, picking on grade 11, all the way over at the right, the above level went from 0 to 5.8%. The on level in the green went from 18.9 to 29.4%. So again, the trend in most grade levels, there's one where you'll see an exception there, overall, is that students are moving, as we would hope to see, from lower scores at the beginning of the year to the right-hand direction of higher scores at the middle of the year assessment. If that trend continues, as we would expect, for the end of the year benchmark, that'll happen in May. And just as a side note, beginning of the year happened basically in September, mid-year happened end of January, beginning of February. And then the end of the year will be in May. It's basically a 4-week window that teachers have to give the assessment during each window.
I jumped in real quick, Greg.
Yeah.
So I know Greg chose grade 11 to focus on, but if you even go one row above that and look at grade 10, you're going to notice some significant changes, especially in that below level movement from 20% to 0, and at the far end above level from 2.6 to 27.8. We are seeing some growth on the part of our students relative to this benchmark.
Right. And so this benchmark, remember, is aligned with, it's part of the new HQIM and math series that we got from HMH. So essentially, it's testing how well the students are doing within that curriculum package that we got. This is by grade level, so it skews things a little bit because at the high school level, grade levels and courses don't necessarily align, but it's the best thing that we could get out of the reporting software. Most ninth graders, well, it's really a mix of ninth graders. They're either in Algebra 1 or Geometry. 10th graders is usually Geometry or Algebra 2. 11th graders is going to be mostly Algebra 2 because some would have moved on to pre-calculus already.
But they're being tested in the course that they're taking.
They're tested in the course they're
It's not,
taking,
right.
but the reporting happens based on grade
Right,
level,
based on grade
not
level.
on course. The graph representation down below is a little bit different from what you saw up above. One thing I want to point out is that's directly out of HMH, and for some reason, they put the newer test on the left. So the middle of the year is
I
on
was
the
gonna
left.
ask you that, because I'm
The
like,
beginning of the
your
year.
graphs are not your data doesn't
Yeah.
match.
And that is, up above was based on scaled score. The graphs are based on grade level equivalence. So it's a little bit different of a measure, but very similar. And again, the big thing that we see here as you're going from right to left is the lower values in the red and orange, which is good, and an increase in the blue, which is what you want to see. Those trends are pretty good. For the reading test, in this school, we only have grades 7 and 8 in HMH. And we see actually the similar trends, although actually a little bit more impressive than the math, where if you look at the individual grade levels, beginning of the year, we had, if you look all the way at the right, the above level went from 8.7% to 14%. But again, the overall progression is really the same. We see improvement as we go. That grade 8 improvement in the far below category is truly exceptional, where they went on this measure from 25.5% in grade 8 beginning of the year, and far below to 4.3% in the middle of the year test. So again, that's scaled score, and you can see a different version of that data down below with the grade level equivalency, again, reversed from the way my brain works anyway, and has the newer data on the left and the beginning of the year on the right. You can see the lower red and all the higher blue, slightly higher blue as we move those over. So we're in general and as a whole, we're moving in the right direction based upon this measure. It's, if this continues through the end of the school year, as we would expect it to, that's going to continue to show progression in the right direction and some good stuff. We did not do any longitudinal looks in this data at this point in time. A, we don't have it for reading because it's the first year, and B, for the math, it's only in the second year, so there's not a lot to look at. And what I'm really interested in longitudinally, when we take a look at that, is the end of year data, comparing one year to the next and seeing how those compare. So we will definitely do that analysis come summer. So again, a very quick overview. I'm sure we can email this out to you if you'd like to actually be able to read the numbers, because I don't know about your eyes, but I'm not seeing that too well. But in general, we're moving in the right direction. There's a couple spots where we're looking at things and trying to figure out why we might have stalled in a couple spots, but we're looking at that and trying to move forward there.
2 quick questions, if I may.
Of course.
The first one, so this will be tested, you'll have an end of year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you mind going back to the math slide? I feel like I'm missing something, because when I look just at your grade 11, and I think it's just in my not understanding what we're comparing against, but when I look at grade 11 and I add up students who are far below level and below level and approaching, so those are all less than level, that came to 81% of our students are below level in math in 11th grade at the beginning of the year, and then it went to 64.7% are below grade level.
So that's not grade level, that's scaled score at the top.
Okay.
If you look
I knew there was an explanation, but I'm sitting there.
But it does kind of align, obviously the scale score is going to align with performance on everything. But the thing I would caution about at the beginning of the year test, remember, we're just coming back from summer.
Yeah.
We're getting used to things and all that. And so, I'd like to see what the end of the year looks like.
Yeah.
And go from there. But yeah.
Okay.
But in essence,
The other thing to remember too is a benchmark test is not necessarily testing where the student should be at the beginning of the year. It's testing where the student should be, their knowledge of that content.
Yeah. Right.
So,
right.
For example, I'll pick Algebra 2. You might not have a lot of Algebra 2 specific content knowledge in September. Hopefully you're going to see that increase as the year goes on.
Kids learn.
Yeah. Okay.
You might see a quadratic equation in one of the questions in September and be like, huh? Because you've never seen the quadratic equation.
I just said it did go from like 80 to 60 though.
Right.
Like if you do add it like that, right?
65% are
Right,
lower than
yeah.
grade level.
Well, no, that's including approaching.
Right, they're not.
Yeah, a little, yeah. Is this data used for intervention or no?
Yes, the speeds are, the nice thing about having this assessment built into the HMH system is that the teachers get a much more detailed report than this. It breaks it down by standard. They can look at it. They can see where kids need some more help. They can talk to the interventionists and try to get that addressed and get those holes filled, get those gaps filled as best as possible.
Just to reiterate what Betsy said, so the end of year, we'll get this again as a committee?
Yes.
Oh,
You probably won't have it at the June meeting, but I will, when we have it, you may not have a meeting immediately, but I will make sure to push it out. And then whenever we get together next, we can talk about what the findings are.
This is the first year that you've been using this?
Second year for math, first year for the reading assessment. And I think that's important to notice as well, when you talk about, especially at the beginning of the year assessments. The kids who are taking this test in, say, 7th grade, 8th grade, or especially the juniors, we started a new program midstream for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're also adapting to the new vocabulary, they're adapting to a whole bunch of new ways of presenting information and stuff like that. What's going to be really interesting to see is as we are another year or two into it, and we really have multiple years worth in this measure, in this particular high quality instructional materials, we'll hopefully be able to see some great progress.
Yeah, and I've never been a huge advocate of standardized tests. I think everybody knows that, but I also appreciate seeing the data and year over year. So
We do have the same data setup for Lee Elementary School, if it's all right for Tim to talk about that.
Yeah, so this represents grades 1 to 6. Obviously with K, they're not computer literate at that point, so we don't really use it, but we do at the end of the year do a kindergarten end of year test, if you will. So we do get a little bit of a snapshot in terms of like some data for the first grade teams to look at for those particular students. But similar to what Principal Briganti said, we're definitely trending in the right direction. Even if you just look at the overall scores, at the top 15.5% beginning of the year were below, that was reduced to 7.78. Below level, 19.4, that was reduced to 9.95. And then approaching 30.8 down to 19. And then on level 28.3 up to 43.3, which is great. And then a nice big jump, 5.9 to 19.95. And if you look at the grade level equivalent, again, I, like everyone, wish it was switched because my brain does not think right to left, it's more left to right. But I mean, you could just clearly see, especially with the on grade, just a pretty decent jump, and then the above grade as well. And then when you look at the, the red and the orange, which are the 2 grades below or more than 2 grades below, I would say that's pretty significantly decreased from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. So I'm pretty happy with these scores overall. You can see grade level to grade level, there seems to be a trend as well. When you're looking at, the far below category, all grade levels showed a decrease, which is great. Some showed a lot more than others. Like if you look at first grade, you've got 17.4 down to 2.1, which is great. But all grade levels did show that reduction. And then when you look at below grade level, there were grades 1 to 5 that showed a reduction. Grade 6 showed a slight increase. But then when you look to approaching, grade 6 showed a pretty decent drop. And again, that's almost across the board. If you look at like grade 2 for approaching, you've got 34.3% down to 7.9. And then again, you see a pretty good jump when you get over to the on grade level. So similar to what, Principal Genti saying, we're definitely trending in the right direction. And in a lot of ways, this is some validating data in terms of, the implementation of those high quality instructional materials. And I think this particular, especially for math, bears that out. I didn't know if anyone had any specific questions about math. Okay. Reading, similar trends. It wasn't as profound as math, but we're definitely, again, trending in the correct direction. When you look at the overall scores for grades 1 to 6, you're looking at the beginning of the year at 24, at far below 24.1, and then that's reduced to 12.5. And then below 26.5, reduced to 20. Approaching was very similar, about a point different between the two. And then on level, we had a pretty good increase, 18.5 to 28.5. And then same beginning of the year for above level, 4.48 beginning of the year up to 13.21. And if you take a look at the graph on the bottom, again, you can see that the green went up, the blue went up, and the orange and red went down. It's, again, I think points to growth, points to the fact that we're trying to implement this, you know, with fidelity across sections, across grades. You can look specific at some grades, and there's some pretty big drops. Like if you look at far below grade level for grade 1, 41.3 down to 17.8. You know, grade 4, 26.2 down to 14.3. Even grade 6, 40 down to 26.2. So there's definitely things trending in the correct direction. And I, like Principal Genty, really look forward to that end of year test to just kind of see that whole year progression across all the grades, and then hope we continue to see that progression. I'm really looking forward to it. Any questions about reading for LES?
I have a question, just a comment. I just think it goes for both, for everybody, the whole crew here. And I think that we talked about coming back to the end of the year, and I just think it's important that in the future that we continuously revisit this, because as you see, like look at this briefly, like you can already see some trends and patterns happening in certain grade levels, and it might be something worth tracking and keeping an eye on. You know, there's a clear couple discrepancies, and I wonder about also the transition. I know we've talked about, you know, restructuring from 6th grade down to 7th grade and what that looks like with the you know, I noticed just 6th and 7th grade interesting numbers. So I think it's good to keep the conversation open and transparency so that as a whole group we can look at it, you know, plan moving forward.
And we'll do that. That was a charge we got from the curriculum subcommittee, so that's what we're trying to follow through on that.
Thank you.
And I think also too, knowing, just having passed the budget conversation, that some of those individual supports may not be there next year. And thinking about how that's gonna play into this, because clearly there's great need for that.
Sure.
Any other questions? All right, next up, we have our National High School Bowling Tournament.
So you should have in front of you the field trip request form. We had a couple of students who have made it to the national championship for bowling. It is an overnight trip, so it does require your approval for us to send, well, for Matt to take those couple students down to Pennsylvania for the weekend.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was in our information that was sent to us.
Yep. All right, I will entertain a motion to accept the trip.
Motion to approve the National High School Bowling Tournament trip.
Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead, Bren.
Mr. Robin,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Keusherick,
Yes.
Mr. Langwa,
Yes.
Ms. Larmen,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Ms. Strickler.
Yes.
All right, next up is our future business. Our next meeting is on May 7th. At 7, unless we have something to change it. And then our last item on the agenda is adjournment. Take a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Bren, can you roll call us out?
Mr. Robin,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Keusherick,
Yes.
Mr. Langwa,
Yes.
Ms. Larmen,
Yes,
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Ms. Strickler.
Yes.
we are adjourned at 8:02.